Yeah, oh, this is interesting. The New York Magazine came out with an article about the Wuhan lab. You guys saw this in New York Magazine, like bringing up the possibility, why is this not, being talked about more? This seems to be very legitimate. More than likely, it came from the lab. And then a couple days later, NBC just denounces that story, saying it's ridiculous. There's no evidence whatsoever it came from the lab. This like protecting of China, protecting of this and that. And then another article came out recently saying what scientists and WHO experts are saying publicly is completely opposite to what they're saying privately. Like they can't discuss it because they're afraid of China and they're afraid of their careers being ruined. Which is something I've mentioned about what real epidemiologists that have like tenure at places going against the narrative is not beneficial to their career. And just everyone jumping on the bandwagon. Like look at all the cadaver morgue trucks outside of the ER. This is horrible. We have to do something. We have to do more. Trump's awful. This random epidemiologist that doesn't tweet at all of a sudden is tweeting all this stuff. And it's all the same shit. They're all part of the same group. Like, let me get famous. I'd love to be on a board of something. Maybe I can make $500,000 from this somehow. I'm good looking enough, and I went to Harvard. Maybe I can benefit from this. I just have to play the party line, be part of the team. There's no benefit from going against it. It's like being like anti-climate change. Not climate change in general, like objectively the climate's changing, but how is it quantitatively relevant to to American citizens? Humans, how much are we contributing to carbon dioxide emissions? That's unquantifiable, unfalsifiable, it's very obtuse. And so, yeah, it's a problem. Low information. Everything's about like distributing as much low information crap to the American people, to the world as possible. Because, I don't know, people in power have alternate motives, it's good for business. Dr. Fauci just lied to the American people a few times, saying we weren't ready to hear X, Y, and Z. Oh, he lied about the masks on purpose in the beginning, so that the PPE, property plant equipment, like this heavy infrastructure stuff for like a pandemic, went to the people that needed it, like people in hospitals first. That just means that you allow the virus to spread across the country, and that's disgusting. How can we trust you? Oh, well, what do you think the herd immunity is required? Oh, 65%. Oh, I lied. You guys weren't ready for that. It's actually 85. Why do we listen to you, motherfucker? Fuck you, bitch. Strap up. It's like, what are we doing? Like, listen, why would we listen to a clown like that? And why would we listen to anyone who talks down to us like that? I don't care who they are. He doesn't treat us as an equal. He thinks we're peasants. It's so disgusting. I'm gonna be shocked. I am shocked that people at grocery stores still wear masks, and it's like, what is the end? Because you're not all gonna get the vaccine. That's the point. There's gonna be a guy like Fauci that comes on TV one day and says, even though you haven't gotten the vaccine, I'm confident that it's fine, no biggie, and the majority of people in the United States have gotten the virus, you're fine. Whoop-de-doo, you could still get it. That's what's so fucking weird, is that there's gonna be this arbitrary time when someone's gonna come on TV, you haven't gotten the virus, and they're gonna say, you don't have to wear a mask anymore. And you're not gonna wear one, but you could still get the fucking thing, and your family could still die. You could get it, vaccines are irrelevant at this point, and you could hurt your family. The same way you could hurt them 6 months ago. Like, that's what's so weird. And you're just gonna follow along with it. Be like, whatever you say. Because most people are not gonna get the vaccine. It's not gonna be available to them. That's what's fucking nuts. It's fucking nuts. The end game is completely anathema to the party lines or the narrative lines of how this ends. Vaccine, we're all safe, implying we all get it. No, it's not the way it works. So fucking weird. We're always going to be exposed to this virus. It's going to be like the flu. It is what it is. Bernie Mac died of pneumonia. Get in line. It can happen to you. It's just what's going to be. It's going to be in our thing. It's part of our society and the way risk reward. Like when I like to have a drink at Friday night and drive. Tough shit. You're just going to have to deal with me. It's efficient. I'm not going to take a cab and then go home on Saturday and then Saturday morning and then wake up and then get a cab back to my car left in the park. No, I'm going to drive home. I'm going to be drunk and you're going to have to deal with it. Maybe I had too many and maybe I hate you. Tough shit. I don't care. But for real, I talked to my friend about this, and he's gonna be wearing a mask. He's home with his parents. They're so worried about him. He's like, left his work, whatever, at home with his family, like bunkered down, fucking like fallout shelter shit. I'm like, what are you, out of your fucking mind? And then I think about that, I think like how many people are doing that, and how what is really going on? And I think about like the suspension of debt service in this country. Like not only the suspension of debt service, but the accumulation. I'm just like, what is the end here? There's no, it almost like forces you into a socialist world. There's no way to come back to normal. It's been too long. They said that the lockdowns would last like a week or two, or a month at most. This shit just keeps happening. It's almost like, my friend, I tell my friend about any conspiracy theory that I just think about, like the intentional dissemination of this virus on purpose to overthrow Trump and a global reset or something, like impose China's power. Like there's this massive thing. It's like, well, now that Trump's now that he's lost, well, what's the conspiracy? Like, it's still like, what do you need? To turn off the virus? It's still there. Like they can't just pull it back. He's like, well, normally if you use a biological weapon, you already have the vaccine. Maybe they already do. Maybe that's the point. Maybe China's fine. I mean, it's very bizarre. The whole thing is fucking weird. Even the way we've handled it. The fact that they let people fly in and out of China during the Chinese year, the busiest travel season of the year in China, knowing that there's a virus on the loose in Wuhan. We have like multiple reports of people say, yes, there's all this military activity. Yes, people are being locked in their homes. But they let people fly. And then the WHO, which is so in China's pocket, says, no, don't wear a mask. Oh, you're fine. There's no big deal. And then went to every country. People are just like, oh, whatever. Like, oh, everyone's getting infected. The infections started being the most important thing before the deaths. Like, we don't know what this is. We're not sure yet. And then because of the uncertainty of what exactly this is in terms of its efficacy, we raised the protective measures, lockdowns, blah, 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 right? People started dying, raise these protective measures. Like, we don't know what this is. How bad could it be? What is it? Blah, 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 blah. And then someone said, what if we just play this out? Let's keep, what if we just really just keep going? We have all these things that are happening in the world today with new industry verticals that are being synthesized. ESG, environmental safety, this governance, like plant-based foods and environmental this, global climate change protection bullshit, this and that, blah, 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 blah. Moving away from fossil fuels, like synthetic industry verticals, like forced industry verticals, not from supply and demand, but from like a fear of the future, a consequence of like humanity. Like, well, there's no real estate market on Mars. Let's make one by saying this planet's inhabitable 100 years from now. That's interesting. It's a very cool way of marketing by fear, this Machiavellian sense of you better start being this way. And there wasn't a market. There was no supply and demand. We're going to make it. We're going to create an entire new industry, and I'm going to be in the money with market share when it happens. Space. People that are in space. Imagine Jeff Bezos just making money from shipping people up to space for $100,000 a year. 1 million people a year at $100,000. Let me just, 1 million people, 100 million.